After a relaxing spring break, we welcome you back to your one-stop shop for Sooner sports.
The pressure is on for many Sooner squads,
but one team is feeling sweeter than most.
I'm your host, Darby McCormick, alongside your analysts, Michael Thompson and Chris Holman, and this is Sooner Sports Pad.
Welcome to Sooner Sports Pad, presented by OU Health, proud to be Oklahoma's flagship academic health system.
Trust me when I tell you, OU athletics did not get the memo of spring break. In fact, OU women's basketball felt like dancing into the Sweet 16 with their defeat over Michigan State. And the reigning national champions just competed at the SEC Gymnastics Championships, where we have the story about their start to the postseason. But who needs a postseason when OU softball is already smashing records right now? It seems like a very successful week, and the pinnacle of that week is OU women's basketball. And as they head into the second straight Sweet 16 they have had, Sooner Sports Pad reporter Kevin Helm was at the LNC and has how they defeated the Michigan State Spartans.
OU women's basketball advanced to the Sweet 16 for the second year in a row and the 12th time in program history as they take down Michigan State 77-71 in the second round of the NCAA tournament. And though they're still coming down from this accomplishment, the Sooners are expecting more and are not taking their next matchup lightly.
We played how Oklahoma basketball is supposed to play, so just with upholding the standard that we have for ourselves, but also not underestimating them. Like, they're a really good team. Like, they're really, really good. But we just got to put our best foot forward. You know, it's March. Everyone's going to give you their best shot. In Sweet 16, now everyone's 0-0 again. So it's just like one at a time. But I think it'll be a really good matchup. I'm super confident in this team.
It's easy to be like, oh, you beat a team once. It's easy. You think it's easy to go beat them twice. But knowing South Carolina, and I think any competitor at this level, they're going to have a chip on their shoulders. And so I feel like for us, we're just going to continue to get better and play Oklahoma basketball this week until we go and play them. And we're going to have fun doing it.
Yes, we did beat them before, but that's a phenomenal team, and we are a very different team than when we played them, and they are a different team. It feels like ages ago that we played them, and so going to be two different teams battling it out. So I'm excited to go against another really good team.
The Sooners now head to Sacramento to take on conference opponent South Carolina, who they took down earlier in the season in an overtime win, the only SEC team to do so. Reporting from the LNC, Caden Helm, Sooner Sports Pad.
Thank you, Caden. And like you said, with this win over the Spartans, the Sooners head to Sacramento to face South Carolina in a rematch with Elite Eight stakes.
The Gamecocks played arguably their worst game of the year in Norman, and it still went to overtime. South Carolina got crushed on the boards, and they couldn't throw a stone into the ocean, shooting 37%. Now, unless Aaliyah Chavez goes off again, I think the run ends here.
Well, Michael, Aaliyah Chavez became the first SEC player in the last 25 years to record 15 points and 5 assists in each of the first 2 games of the NCAA tournament. If she can keep playing like that, I wouldn't count the Sooners out.
Well, one thing you can count on, Chris, is death, taxes, and Porter Moser saving his job every year. On March 14th, Roger Denny posted on social media that Moser will return to the Sooners for his 6th season, but he won't be alone. Joining him will be a large boost of NIL money, which Denny says is needed to get this program back to where it should be.
Even though Porter Moser went on a hot streak to end the season, winning 8 of 11, it doesn't hide the overall record of 93-74 he has with the Sooners.
That record is not all on Porter, Darby. According to Brody Lusk, Oklahoma ranks second to last in the SEC in NIL funding. Now, spending more money to buy out Moser, then hire someone, then provide the NIL money is stupid. He is a good coach. You'll see what he can do next year with real money.
With a buyout of around $6 million, it makes sense that he's going to stick around for another year. But if he wants to be here for longer than just a year, he's going to have to take a step up. Now, one Sooner that has taken a step up is Owen Heineke, who filed a lawsuit against the NCAA on Monday. Heineke's appeal for a 5th year was denied on February 19th, with NCAA citing the 3 games of lacrosse he played with Ohio State in 2021. However, OU isn't ready to close that door just yet.
We're not giving up. Yeah, Owen's just a guy you want to fight for. And we've got a locker room full of great young men, and Owen's incredible. He's a really special young man. If it ends up where he's in the NFL next year, whoever gets him is going to get a really good football player and a great young man. If there's any sliver of hope of getting Owen back, we're going to do that.
OU's done a good job of, advocating for me and, letting me know all the options and, kind of letting that ball fall in my court.
For Sooner fans and the Sooner coaching staff, Owen Heineke is someone that you want on your football team. The dude is a winner. He finished just behind Kip Lewis in total tackles for OU with 74 and sacks with 3. Having him back would be huge.
Michael, there's no telling how this will turn out. A judge granted a preliminary injunction for Ole Miss quarterback Trinidad Chambliss to play his 6th year of football, but the NCAA is appealing that decision, while Tennessee quarterback Joey Aguilar had his request denied.
Well, coming up, we'll talk about why OU women's gymnastics is hoping lightning strikes twice and why OU softball has the record book seeing double. Next on Sooner Sports Pad. Welcome back and welcome to T-Town for the SEC Gymnastics Championships. Ball started a bit shaky for the Sooners, putting them in last place after the first rotation, but hey, they pick it up on bars with their event score being a 49.6. And we finished with the highlight of the day. Faith Torres, senior, perfect 10 on beam. That is her first of the season. And even with the loss, Sooner Sports Pad reporter Mia Narvaez was in the BOK Center in Tulsa to share how the meet turned to their motivation.
Let's go, Mia.
A .025 point margin was all it took for confetti to fall for the Florida Gators at the 2026 SEC Gymnastics Championship, leaving the Sooners at 2nd place. But OU head coach KJ Kindler says the point difference couldn't have been any closer.
That actually is as close as it can be. For them to respond the way they did, this is such a young team. I keep telling people that, like, these freshmen, these sophomores, really young to be so mature in the way they're competing and fighting, and I was super impressed with them today. I think that this will do us a lot as we move into the postseason in terms of just preparation and knowing that you can kind of get out of any situation if you put your mind to it.
Just doing our gymnastics. You know, we need to rely on our foundation, as KJ was talking to us about. You know, we've just been so amazing as a team and the chemistry, so just really feeding off of each other's bar routines, that's all we needed to do.
These are the top 4 teams in the country. You're not going to be in a situation like this until then. So to get that practice and to know exactly what you have to do to make it happen, what a gift for us.
Although history repeats itself at the SEC Gymnastics Championship, the Sooners are confident going to the rest of their postseason as they look to claim another NCAA Women's Gymnastics Championship title. Reporting from the BOK Center, Mia Narvaez, Sooner Sports Pad.
Thanks, Mia. And like she said, this team did finish runner-up at the SEC Championships just last season, and we all know how that postseason ended with a national championship trophy, of course.
Well, that might be the most excited I've ever seen a coach after losing out on a championship, but I'm not questioning KJ. Knowing you're not invincible has its benefits. We saw it last year, and I know that KJ will have them ready once again.
Despite finishing as runner-ups in the SEC Championships, OU Women's Gymnastics will be the first overall seed in the NCAA Championships and will be eyeing their 16th regional title in a row.
Well, Chris Kendall-Wells is looking for her own title with OU softball. She is getting closer to the most home runs in a single season, including a home run in the 6th inning on Saturday in the 10-0 run rule win. Now on Sunday, it was the Miley Wachino revenge game. Through 4 innings, the former Rebel struck out 4 batters. Later on, Kai Minor adds 2 home runs on the day, and an Abby Dayton clears the bases with a grand slam, sealing the 14-2 run rule win. On to Monday night. OU wraps up the sweep 5-2 thanks to Isabella Emmerling's grand slam. Now this team and home runs, now they seem to be best friends, but apparently they're not even trying.
We're just trying to, again, work together as a team, keep on passing the bat. I mean, no one's really trying to hit a home run here, so we're just trying to all do our jobs, and me being closer to the bottom of the lineup, I'm just trying to pass the bat to get to the top, and so we can just keep on going, keep on going.
It certainly looks like hitting home runs is OU's job. They overtook the title of most SEC home runs hit in a season with just 32 of their games played.
Guess who they passed, Darby? It was themselves, of course. 2 seasons in the SEC, and Patty Astro's girls hold the top 2 spots in SEC history. If you took away the leading home run hitter on the team, OU still leads the nation ahead of UCLA by 3.
Michael Kindle-Wells has been on an absolute tear. Not only does she have more home runs than any other freshman, but she has more home runs than anyone else in the nation and could potentially break Jocelyn Alo's single-season record. And OU baseball barreled down to the Bayou for a matchup against the reigning national champs, and in Game 1, LSU absolutely demolished OU 7-1. However, it was a completely different story the rest of the series. In Game 2, Trey Gamble went 2 for 4 at the plate with 2 RBIs, leading the Sooners to a 4-2 win. And in Game 3, OU was down 3-1 in the 8th inning, but powered back to take a 4-3 lead and would go on to take Game 3 and the series against the Tigers.
Winning the rubber match improves their record to 19-5, with Game 3 being their 9th comeback win of the season.
Well, to come back in games, you've got to play defense, and the Sooner defense was on point. Skip Johnson's squad had 2 double plays in each game in Tigerland, plus no errors in the series clinching win on Sunday. This team, they just keep on impressing.
OU was able to take down the Aggies and the Tigers, but they have a real handful with their upcoming series against second-ranked Texas, who's coming off a series win against 5th-ranked Auburn.
Well, number 1 OU men's gymnastics capped off their regular season at Cal over the weekend. We'll start with Colby Aranda winning the pommel horse title. Check this out for a second. He goes on to, with a score of 14.5, stick this landing. And sticking with event titles, Nico Hamilton earning his 3rd event title with this floor routine, earning a 13.8. Now onto the high bar, Kelton Christensen also earning his 3rd individual title, stuck landing. That's 14 points for him. And the Sooners, we finished it with a 14.25 for Nathan Roman on the parallel bars. This meet rounded out week 10 of national rankings with OU on top. But they have seen this ranking before, 1 year ago to be exact, and unless they capitalize off of it, it's all for naught.
At least they know what not to do while trying for their first natty since 2018, and that is now 13 undefeated regular seasons for Mark Williams at OU. Now the Sooners will have a much-deserved week off before the MPSF championships.
OU has been dominant this season. They're ranked 1st in both the pommel horse and the still rings, while Nathan Roman is ranked 1st in parallel bars, and Kelton Christensen is ranked 1st in the high bars.
Well, we 3 can talk circles around this show, so it's time to talk to some people who can probably run circles around us. Members of cross country and track are coming up next. You don't want to miss it. Welcome back, everybody. Tonight, we are joined by Ralford Mullings and Tyson Ritz. Ralford is a graduate student from Kingston, Jamaica. He is a discus thrower and a good one, too, competing in the 2024 Summer Olympics. And he's joined by Tyson Ritz, a junior high jumper from Edmond, Oklahoma, who just earned first-team All-American recognition at the NCAA Indoor Championships. Chris, Michael, take it away.
Thanks, Darby, and thank you guys for joining us. And Ralford, I'll start with a question for you. Moving here from Jamaica to the U.S., what was it like adapting to that while being a high-level athlete?
Absolutely. It was definitely a culture shock, I would say. There's a lot more support here, and I mean, moving from 3 different universities and here at OU, where it feels like home, I would say it's been a great experience here for the past 3 years.
Tyson, you had a slightly different journey. You grew up just down the street in Edmond. What was the process like picking the Sooners and coming here?
Yeah, I mean, I grew up a fan of OU, and so I knew as I got better in track that this was a school I wanted to come to. Vernon Turner, he was a high jumper here a couple years ago, and he's one of the best ever in college, so I really looked up to him. I knew I wanted to come here and be a high jumper.
Ralford, you competed in the Olympics, like she said. Take me through that whole experience and what it meant for you to compete at one of the greatest stages in the world.
Yeah, absolutely. That was just insane. I mean, to compete at I would say the pinnacle of the sport is, it was awesome. Let's just put it that way. But looking back, it was a great learning experience, and hopefully I can compete into the next 28 potentially and do damage.
Now, Ralford, you also won the 2025 Outdoor Discus Championship. Can you kind of walk me through the emotions of winning that?
Yeah. So I mean, that whole year, it was, people would say me versus the #1 ranked seed, but that's a good place to be, you know, chasing someone. And I think in the end, I just got the better hand, and I took advantage of it. But yeah, it was a great experience. I mean, just staying hungry, and throughout the year, it just got better and better and better. And I just competed on the day and won it. So it's been a great experience.
I got a fun question for y'all. If y'all switched events, who would be better at the other event?
Me.
How come?
I just feel like I could throw a discus farther than he can high jump, you know?
Do you agree?
I don't know, man. I had a 57-inch vert yesterday, so.
57?
Yes.
Wow. That's wild. So you guys are both student athletes as well. Take me through some of the tolls that it takes on your physical and mental side of the sport and lifestyle.
I mean, physically, I'm trashed even right now, but yeah, just staying disciplined. I would say it's time management in terms of mental, just setting your priorities straight in the classroom, in the ring, on the, what do you call that?
Apron. Yeah, I feel like
apron.
we definitely have to make a lot of sacrifices, and there's a lot of things that normal students can do that we just can't. And so, you know, whether it's our diet or like having to go to sleep early, or maybe even having to stay up a little later to do homework because we're at practice, we definitely just have to make sacrifices and be willing to do that if we want to win.
Tyson, would you say it's easier to compete indoors or outdoors, and why?
I think I've always been a really good indoor jumper, and so I feel like it's easier to be consistent indoors because it's basically going to be the same environment every week. And outdoors, you know, you can have wind or something like that, but I think it's easier to jump higher or run faster or throw farther outdoors because, you know, you have like that heat. It's later in the year. But yeah, I feel like for me, I like indoors a lot, but I'm really trying to fight against that this season and be able to go do something crazy outdoors.
Yeah, that's great perspective. Thank you guys so much for joining us tonight. We appreciate it very much. Darby?
Yes, thank you both so much for joining us. But don't go anywhere because we're still talking about track and field as well as other sports coming up next. We'll be right back. Hello and welcome back. Like I said, we're still talking about track and field, but first, let's take it to the tennis court.
Let's do it. Yeah. Since losing to LSU, OU men's tennis has been red hot, winning 3 straight matches, including 2 wins over top 15 teams. On Sunday, the Crimson Tide were the latest victims. OU secured the doubles point before making swift work of the singles competition, taking the first 3 matches headlined by Johan Rodriguez, closing out the sweep 4-0.
OU track and field raced down to Fort Worth for the opening weekend of their outdoor season, and it's safe to say they were leaping above the competition. The Sooners won 5 event titles. Nicholas Chu won the men's long jump, while the women placed first, second, third, and 4th in the long jump.
My goodness. Well, the first 2 rounds of March Madness were played in the Paycom Center in OKC, with University of Houston making an appearance. And before their trip to the Sweet 16, Sooner Sports Pad reporter Hunter Cornejo showed their ties between Cougar Claws and the Crimson and Cream.
Oklahoma City hosted the first and second rounds of March Madness for the first time since 2016. And while the Oklahoma Sooners were not in attendance like a decade ago, the OU ties remained strong with the Houston Cougar staff of the Sampson family and Hollis Price.
Man, I'm from Oklahoma. You know, I went to elementary, middle, high school, college, grad school. I'm an Oklahoman, you know, and so to be back, that does my Oklahoma heart really well.
Kellen and Lauren are both University of Oklahoma graduates. They were raised with Boomer Sooner. I'm a Cougar, man, but I always have a little Sooner blood in me.
4 Sooners on our staff. And, you know, once you become a Sooner, you know, you're always a part of it. Just sticks with you.
The Sooners currently have 6 jerseys retired for their basketball program, but Houston assistant coach Kellen Sampson believes that his fellow assistant Hollis Price deserves to have his jersey hanging from the rafters in Norman.
You're talking about a guy that's deserving. He wore that jersey the way that it's supposed to be worn. When you bring people into Lloyd Noble or whatever the new arena will be called when it's time, and they look up in the rafters and they see the name Price, everybody can feel really good that he wore it the way we would all want it to be worn.
You know, I leave that up to the people who make the decisions, you know. Coach Sampson, you know, I'm blessed to still be with this guy. Chose to play for him way in 1998, and now it's 2026 and I'm still with him. That tells you that I made the right decision on coming to Oklahoma.
After a heartbreaking finish a year ago in the national championship, Sampson and Houston are still looking for their one shining moment. From the Paycom Center, Hunter Cornejo, Sooner Sports Pad.
Thank you, Hunter, but who needs to wait for those cats to fight in the Sweet 16? Well, we've got a cat fight coming up next. It is time for Face Off. Oh. Yeah! Welcome back. There was a whole extra week for our 2 analysts to determine who their team of the week is, so let's see who did their homework over spring break. Michael, which team took your pick?
OU baseball is my team of the week. Darby, Skip Johnson must have lit a fire under his team after they got spanked by LSU in Game 1. And they made a statement by taking the next 2 games. And there was a lot of great Sooner moments this weekend, but a road series win over the reigning national champs, that's tough to beat.
Wow, Michael, the one time you didn't pick women's basketball when you probably should have. Aaliyah Chavez and Reagan Beers combined for 36 points in their win against Michigan State, sending the Sooners to the Sweet 16 for the 2nd year in a row, which is the first time they've made it to the Sweet 16 in back-to-back years since they made it 3 years in a row from 2009 to 2011.
Okay, well, for your women's MVPs, one had 16 multi-hit runs, and another's performance took their team to the Sweet 16. So, Chris, let's start with your pick.
Darby, I'm going to have to go with OU softball and Kai Minor. Over OU's first 2 games against Ole Miss, she was 4 for 6 with 3 RBIs and scored 3 runs. And in the Sooners' 14-2 win in Game 2, she had 2 home runs, which is her first multi-home run game, and she now has 16 multi-hit games this season, which is a team high.
Come on, Chrome Dome. You literally just talked about them. Reagan Beers sent the Sooners to the Sweet 16 by dominating in the paint. Her 18 points and 14 rebounds. That means she's dropped a double-double in every single March Madness game at OU. She might need a Wilt Chamberlain game to beat South Carolina or maybe even Bam Adebayo, but she earned this week's women's MVP.
Ouch, Michael. Well, it certainly was an SEC matchup to remember, and another one of those would be OU baseball against LSU, which, funny enough, both of you picked for your men's MVPs, which they played in. So who came out on top?
Gotta stay with winners, Darby. Camden Johnson has been so good this season, and that continued in Baton Rouge. He started the rubber match on Sunday with his 3rd home run of the year, then stepped up with a big hit and a bigger effort to get to first, all a part of a clutch 8th inning to clinch the series.
Michael, you missed an obvious one. Jackson Cleveland. In Game 3 against LSU, the senior closer shut down the Tigers, not allowing a single hit in the final 2 1/3 innings, helping the Sooners take the series against the reigning national champs. If that's not MVP material, I don't know what is.
Okay, guys, I got to take the choice for tonight. I think the men's MVP, or actually the MVP of Face-Off for tonight is Chris. Thank you for watching Sooner Sports Pad, everybody. For Michael Thompson, Chris Holman, I'm Darby McCormick. Good night, everybody.
Yeah!